Are you or someone you care about an HSP, a highly sensitive person? You might be. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what it is and what it isn't and what it means in just a second. But first, if you are into actionable, easy, simplified tips and insights on how to make your life better and how to be happier, please subscribe to my channel. Every like, every subscription, every comment goes a really long way in helping me grow my channel, and it's appreciated. Okay, so first of all, what is a highly sensitive person or an HSP? Simply, a highly sensitive person is someone with, wait for it, there are more initials coming up, SPS, sensory processing sensitivity. All right, great. But what the hell does that mean, right? Yeah, I know. First, let me tell you what HSP isn't. It's not a flaw. It's not an illness. It's not a condition. It's not something to be fixed. It's just a trait. It's just a characteristic. And I gotta say, I was really relieved to find that out, because for a long time, I thought there was something a little off with me. And that may be true, but it has nothing to do with being highly sensitive. So basically, being highly sensitive means you have a greater sensitivity to outside stimuli, outside energies and changes and things that I don't want to say a normal person, but the average person would not pick up on. 20% of people, not just people, 20% of animals in the animal kingdom are HSP. They're highly sensitive. Well, I guess if they were animals, they wouldn't be HSP because they would be HSA. So they would just be HS. But you get where I'm going. Anyway, 20% of creatures are highly sensitive, and it's actually a survival mechanism. Basically, highly sensitive people pick up on stimulation that other people don't. Energy, sound, light, actions, and this can be good and it can also be bad. We are sort of on high alert, and we are alerted to things even before other people are. Also, though, we can get very overwhelmed. Now, this is different for everyone who's highly sensitive. For me, I pick up on energies, emotions. I can read a room really well. Do I always listen to what I know about the room? No, but that's a different thing. That, unlike this, is a problem. But I can sense a shift in someone's mood or behavior or attitude even before they know that they've shifted. That does come in handy, but also it can be a little crazy making if you, like I've done for a really long time, interpret every change in action or atmosphere or attitude as something that maybe you've done wrong. That's not always the case. And if you're highly sensitive, you kind of have to learn how to differentiate between those. And now that I think about it, I'll probably do a video on that down the road. Okay, so a misconception about highly sensitive people. They're not necessarily shy. They're not necessarily introverts. They're not necessarily neurotic, and they're not necessarily empaths. For a while, I thought I was all of those things. Turns out I'm really none of those things. I used to tell people that I was shy, and people looked at me like I was sort of insane, because the majority of my adult life I spent working on the radio or on TV. So I've had to talk, and people have had to look at me and listen to me. So how was I shy if that's what I did for a career? Glad you asked. You didn't ask, I asked, but glad to answer. The thing is, I like talking and I like entertaining and I like putting stuff out there. However, I don't like taking too much in. I get overwhelmed. So being a radio disc jockey, for example, was a perfect way for me to do this, or even being on camera. You're on camera or you're in front of a microphone and you're talking to so many people, but in reality, you're either alone in the room or you're in a room with just a handful of other people. Another example, when I was doing radio, I would sit alone in my studio. The lights would be turned down low. The music would be turned down low. I'd be sitting cross-legged, as I actually am now, and barefoot. And if a person happened to walk into the studio, I know they were like, hippie Melissa doing her hippie thing, and that could not have been further from the truth. I didn't know why I had the atmosphere like that. I do now. The music could be too loud. The lights could be too loud. Shoes and certain clothing felt restrictive, and I now know that, yeah, quirky maybe, but more precisely, highly sensitive. So some other questions to ask yourself if you think you may be highly sensitive. Do noises overwhelm you? And I'm not talking about like concerts and fireworks, although that's part of it, but I'm talking about noises that to other people might not even register. Like for me, if a fan is on in the background somewhere, it just grates on my nerves and it makes me insane. Other people don't even know that there's a fan on. If there's too many audio things happening at once, if there's a conversation and the radio's on and my GPS is giving me directions, I feel like my head's gonna explode. Other things are textures. I can't wear certain clothing, foods. We'll talk about growing up as a highly sensitive person in a second, but certain textures I can't eat. I can't eat mushrooms. Ugh. I can't eat avocados. Don't even get me started on sushi. Now, as I mentioned, being highly sensitive can be confusing as a child, not only for us, the highly sensitive, but also for our teachers and our caretakers and our siblings and our parents. Now the word or the words or the trait is getting more and more attention, which I think is great because people will be able to understand and therefore adjust for the 20% of the population that are like this. However, for me, and I'm sure for many of you, growing up was hard because sometimes you'd be withdrawn and your family couldn't understand or your teachers couldn't understand why you weren't being outgoing. You had probably certain food dislikes, but you didn't have the knowledge or language to express that it wasn't you being stubborn or it wasn't because the food was icky. It was just something did not feel correct. And let me tell you this, and if you're a highly sensitive person, you're going to relate to this as well. We as highly sensitive people find the need to break away from outside stimulation, sound, sights, smells, people, and just be alone and regroup. I have this great trick where I tell people at a party that I'm going to the bathroom and then they don't see me again for 3 months. They're onto it by now. But, it's nothing against the people. It's nothing against the party. It's just I am a sponge for stimulation and energy, and I really have to sort of go into seclusion and regroup and re-energize. So I didn't go too in depth in this. I just wanted to let you know if you are a highly sensitive person, you're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to be fixed. And most important of all, you're not alone. If you are not highly sensitive, but you know people who are highly sensitive, I hope this is a good jumping off point for you so you can be a little more sensitive and understanding of what they're going through. I do speak about this further. I have an article about this on my blog on maximizelife.com. But if you're highly sensitive or you know anyone who's highly sensitive, tell me what that looks like and feels like to you in the comments below. Also, as I mentioned before, please, if you are into personal development and actionable tips for living your best life, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, write a comment below. It's a brand new channel, and I'm looking forward to growing it and getting to reach out to and interact with more like-minded people. I'll talk to you soon. Mwah.